The human body. How to be healthy. These are the things we should do to stay healthy. Eat a healthy, balanced diet. It is important to eat a variety of food every day. Bread and cereals contain carbohydrates, which give us energy. Fruit and vegetables have vitamins and minerals, which help our cells stay healthy. Meat and fish contain proteins, which help us grow and strengthen our muscles and bones. Milk and dairy foods have calcium, which we need for strong bones and teeth. And we should eat a small amount of sugary and fatty foods, such as cakes and chocolates. Do exercise. When we exercise, our muscles need more oxygen, so we breathe faster and our heart works harder to pump more blood around our body. The blood carries oxygen from our lungs to our muscles. It is important to exercise 2 or 3 times a week because exercise makes our muscles, including our heart muscles, stronger. Keep clean. We wash our body to remove dirt, bacteria, and stale sweat. We must wash our hands before we eat and after going to the toilet to remove any germs. We also need to remove plaque from our teeth by brushing them after meals. Sleep. It's very important to have enough sleep because it's when we sleep that our body repairs itself and grows. Sleep also helps the brain develop so that, for example, speech and memory function properly. An 11-year-old child should sleep for about 10 hours every night. The digestive system. In order to get the nutrients that we need from the food we eat, our body first needs to break down this food. This process is called digestion. Digestion is carried out by the digestive system. There are 4 stages in the digestive process: ingestion, digestion, absorption, and elimination. Stage 1. Ingestion begins in the mouth. The teeth chew the food into small pieces, and salivary glands produce a liquid called saliva. The saliva mixes with the food and breaks it down. The tongue shapes the food into a ball called a bolus. When we swallow, the bolus passes into the esophagus, where muscles push it down into the stomach. Stage 2. Digestion continues in the stomach. Muscles in the stomach walls work with gastric juices that also come from the stomach walls. The muscles mix the bolus to break it down, and the gastric juices turn it into a thick liquid. This thick liquid passes into the small intestine, where digestive juices produced by the small intestine, the liver, and the pancreas break down the liquid even more. Stage 3. Absorption takes place in the small intestine. Nutrients from the digested food pass through the walls of the small intestine and are absorbed into the blood. Stage 4. Elimination begins when waste that our body can't use passes to the large intestine. Here, water from this waste can be absorbed into the blood. The solid waste leaves our body through the anus. To keep our digestive system healthy, it's important to drink water and eat food that contains a lot of fiber, such as fruit, vegetables, cereals, and brown rice. The excretory system. The body produces many waste substances which will make us ill if they stay in the body. The process of removing these waste substances is called excretion. Excretion is carried out by the excretory system. The kidneys and the urinary tract make up the excretory system. The urinary tract consists of two ureters, a bladder and a urethra. Blood carries waste products such as excess sugars and salts, as well as nutrients, to the kidneys along the renal arteries. The kidneys filter the blood and take out the waste products. The cleaned blood returns to the circulatory system along the renal veins. The waste products mix with water and form urine in the kidneys. The urine travels down the ureters into the bladder where it's stored. When the bladder is full, the muscles contract and push the urine into the urethra and out of the body. The skin also takes part in excretion. In the inner layer of skin, there are special glands called sweat glands. Sweat glands produce the liquid sweat, which is mainly water. These glands are connected to tiny openings in the skin called pores. Like the kidneys, the sweat glands filter the blood and remove waste salts. The waste salts are mixed with water and excreted through the pores in the skin. As the sweat evaporates on the skin, the body temperature decreases. The respiratory system. Respiration is the process of absorbing the oxygen that our body needs and expelling carbon dioxide. This process is carried out by the respiratory system. When we inhale, air enters our body through our nose and mouth. Tiny hairs inside the nose trap dust particles and clean the air. The air then passes through the pharynx and larynx as it goes down to the trachea. The trachea divides into two parts called bronchi. The air travels down the bronchi into the lungs. In the lungs, the bronchi divide into small tubes called bronchioles. At the end of these bronchioles are tiny sacs called alveoli, which are covered in blood vessels. Here, the oxygen in the air is absorbed into the blood. Waste carbon dioxide passes from the blood to the alveoli. This exchange of gases is called respiration. The carbon dioxide enters the bronchioles and is then exhaled through the nose and mouth. The diaphragm is a strong muscle below the lungs. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and goes down. The muscles between the ribs, which are called intercostal muscles, push the rib cage up and out. The space inside the chest cavity increases so air comes in. Then the lungs inflate. During exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes and goes up. The rib cage goes down and in. The space inside the chest cavity decreases, so air is pushed out. Then the lungs deflate. The circulatory system. The circulatory system consists of the heart, blood vessels, and blood. Its function is to take oxygen and nutrients to cells. It also collects waste products and takes them to the parts of the body from where they can be expelled. The heart is a hollow, muscular organ about the size of an orange. It's made up of cardiac muscle. The heart muscles contract and relax to pump the blood around the body. Blood is carried in 3 types of blood vessels: arteries, veins, and capillaries. Arteries are large blood vessels with thick walls which carry oxygenated blood from the heart to the rest of the body. Veins have thinner walls. They carry the blood to the heart. Capillaries are tiny blood vessels which connect the arteries and the veins. Blood is made up of plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and cell fragments called platelets. Plasma is a yellowish liquid which is 90% water. It carries the nutrients and waste products. Red blood cells give blood its color. They carry oxygen and carbon dioxide. Red blood cells contain a chemical called hemoglobin. The hemoglobin attracts the oxygen as the blood passes through the lungs. Red blood cells don't have a nucleus. They are produced in bone marrow, which is the soft part found in the center of large bones. White blood cells fight infection. They surround and absorb germs which enter the body. When the body is losing blood because of a cut in the skin, platelets join together to stop the bleeding. They form a thick clot which closes the cut and stops germs from entering the body. When the clot dries, it becomes a scab. The heart is a muscle that pumps blood around the body. Blood containing very little oxygen enters the right side of the heart from the body. This blood is deoxygenated blood. The blood is pumped to the lungs. Here the blood expels carbon dioxide and absorbs oxygen. This is now called oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood then enters the left side of the heart from where it is pumped to all parts of the body. The heart has 4 chambers. The upper chambers are called atria, and these receive blood from the veins. The lower chambers are called ventricles. Blood passes from the atria to the ventricles. The ventricles pump the blood out of the heart along the arteries. The right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and the left ventricle pumps oxygenated blood out to the rest of the body. The 2 sides of the heart work together. When blood enters the left atrium, it enters the right atrium at the same moment. Do you know what makes the sound of the heartbeat? When the valves between the atria and ventricles close, they make a thumping sound. This sound is the sound of a heartbeat. The heartbeat has 2 stages. During systole, the walls of the ventricles contract and pull blood into the arteries. During diastole, the walls of the ventricles relax and blood is pumped into the ventricles to make the heart fill with blood. Heart rate and exercise. Sometimes our heart beats fast, and sometimes it beats more slowly. This is because our heart beats at a different rate depending on what activity we are doing. When our body needs to absorb oxygen or expel carbon dioxide, our heart rate can change. To find our heart rate, we need to find out how many times our heart beats each minute, beats per minute, or BPM. To do this, we count the number of times our pulse beats in 10 seconds and multiply this number by 6. To find your pulse, put 2 fingers on your wrist at the same side as your thumb.